game for athletes is a good lift, not a game going to be perfect for everyone. If people got any type of elbow, wrist, even some shoulder issues and stuff, this is definitely no-go, so we can clear that with therapy if there's an issue there. You also want to make sure before people are doing this that you've kind of, I'm going to go backwards for a second here, it's not how we take this out of the rack, but you want to make sure that they can do this. You got to, basically, you can hand them the barbell and just say, can you do this? Because if they can't do this, then they should be power clean, right? Because what you see a lot of athletes do, you know, is they'll come up and they'll catch like this, and it's just like that's really going to beat on the shoulder and the wrist, and so we got to have that position. Okay. With this here, the most common version that we'll do with athletes, because again we're not training weightlifters, is that we'll just have them pull from the hang. So the easiest way to just set up the bar here, right, and then they can come in, take the bar off the rack, right, do their cleans, and then just re-rack that, so they don't have to worry about the issues with the floor. And so we typically go hang power clean, so you can start from here and just come up from there.
How much of like a squat do you like for these with our athletes?
You want to think like a vertical jump. Yeah, quarter-ish is a good guideline.
Yeah. On the catch.
Oh, the catch? Yeah, quarter squat. Yeah. So basically, like when the term power clean, like if you look at weightlifters, they're just like clean, or sometimes referred to squat clean, right? So for the power lifter, they're gonna, or for the weightlifter, sorry, to get my sports mixed up. Right? For the weightlifter, I mean, when they catch, they're basically gonna pull it clean to about navel height, and then they're gonna just all the way under to rock bottom front squat, and then sit up from there.
That's like the CrossFit stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they'll do it in different things like that, you know, because you can lift more weight. The advantage, like with the power versions, is two things for athletes. It's way easier, and the second thing is that you have to put more speed into the bar, right? So if you got that continuum between like pure strength and pure speed, it's a little bit more of the speed, because instead of pulling to here, I have to pull to mid chest. So yeah, so it is benefit that way. So in this setup, what you want to see is you're just coming back, and you want to get kind of a jumping position to start from here. Okay. Now in weightlifting, there'll be kind of a natural, they call it a double knee bend, and so you'll see weightlifters, they will have, you know, when they're pulling from the ground here, they'll kind of come here, you'll see the knees straighten, and then you'll see this kind of re-bend and re-straighten before their pull there. So that can kind of naturally happen.
They're just trying to get the weight like from going back on the heel, because if you think about it, if you're jumping from like your heels and the bars back here, it's not backwards. So what the whole purpose of the double knee bend is just to try and bring it back to midfoot.
Yeah.
So when they jump, the bar's coming up like this as opposed to back
Yeah.
with a deadlift. That's the way that Joel Clausen taught me.
Yeah, no, I agree. In some cases, too, if you don't get that, it can have the opposite problem, where they're way out in front, and they're pulling here, and then again, you got no power. So exactly, it's the same kind of principle, like squatting, deadlifting, pressing, you know, Olympics, it's midfoot, that's the barbell's got to be there, so you got to get back in there. You don't, like, with this, getting it double knee bend, like, it's never really something you really teach an athlete unless they're totally not, you just kind of let it happen naturally. So the idea is, like, if I start here, right, and I just go into a jumping position, I'll probably naturally have some of that happen anyway, so don't worry too much about coaching it, right? But if you see someone who's way out here and they're trying to pull there, that's where you want to get it in close to the body, okay? The other big thing that when you're doing with athletes is that it'll look different than only lifters, in part just simply because the height of the length of the arms, right? So a lot of only lifters, I mean, you know, they have the exact opposite build of, you know, what you look for in a basketball or volleyball player, right? So it's going to be lower down the leg than it would be for the only lifter. But yeah, just make sure it's in nice and tight from there. The other big thing in the setup is making sure that the elbows are locked, right? So for a lot of people, the big challenge is they think upper body exercise when they have a bar in their hand, and so their power clean is more of an upright row. And so you're wanting to have the elbows locked so that when I have that initial explosion of the legs, it's going into.
It's like that same deadlift concept almost.
Yeah, like you want your arm to start. Is that you want you want your arm to start as a cable, right? And it's that cable and then pulling kind of from there. And so you want to make sure that you have the arms totally flexed when you start from there. Okay. So basically, you've got your motion here. So I'm here, and you're coming straight at the body, and then you're going to have a bending just kind of happen afterwards. Okay. So if you've got that down. The other kind of key thing is just kind of explaining them what's happening. Basically, the bar is coming up, and then it's punching forward in the catch position. So you're never really seeing the bar do this, right? The bar is doing this, and then I'm rotating my elbows around to catch it through there. All right, let me shut up. Who wants to go? You want to go?
I'll give it a shot. I get to feel weird though.
No, sorry, to go this way. I just did that backwards, so I wasn't my back facing again. All right, so if you only got one spot to coast the lift, you probably want to be straight on this side.
So just from here,
Yeah.
in a position to just point up like that. I have no elbow flexibility apparently. So it's like
What's happening right now is we just got to get the bar closer in, so it's kind of coming out in through here. You just want to be able to pull that straight up better. Yeah. Now, one of the huge challenges, and this is one of the things that this is a big disadvantage for athletes, is that it's really easy with the Olympic stuff to end up just not fully extending, right? And so it's what you'll see people do. You see this all the time, right? But especially on YouTube, right? They'll go here and they're kind of like this.
Yeah.
Right, and they're not even remotely getting extension, and so that's kind of and it's hard because you're slowing it down because of the weight, but you want to make sure that you're getting extension before you come under to catch, right? And that's where the jump squat reigns supreme. And so yeah, for a lot of people.
Try with some weight on there.
The thing for Tyler, I mean, he's going to need probably over 135. Otherwise, he could basically reverse curl. So
Yeah.
that's going to be a big challenge there.
Just a little bit at least. See, I get from here.
Yeah. It's a better way. You see, I keep pulled the bar up to here.
Yeah.
Right, so that, one of the tricky things, and this is where the clean and the snatch will differ. It's easier to snatch a weight that's too light than it is to, like with the clean, to snatch a weight that's too light there. Do you want to just put a plate on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's put a plate on. So what you guys want to do is just come around more from the front here. And you can even kind of be in here or back on the side where I am. Just so you can see what this looks like. Just up. Okay. All right, the other thing you want to do is make sure you charge the core. So before you go down, you get a breath of air in, hold the breath, get tight, okay, and then go down your setup, flex your triceps. There you go. Better. So now he's a lot closer to his body. Okay? Yeah. That's how you came out a little bit more. Yeah. The other thing that's going to happen with the feet, go ahead, rest for a second. With the feet, you might see a little bit of like kind of a change in the stance. Yeah, and so you got to be really careful because it can get really carried away, right? As people, like you'll see again, like in testing on YouTube and stuff, you'll see people kind of like, go like this and stuff, and then the knees, and so it can get really ugly.
Like this, and
yeah. It can get really ugly really quick. So, but if you're here, if you get that happen or something, like that's not a big deal, right? And the overall thing to be going for is that you want to be in a jumping position, and if you think like vertical jumping, right? If I get out here, right? Mechanically, like it's just, big vert, right?
Yeah.
So you want to be in where you can get that jump happening. So if they come out a bit, so like for example, like if you're here and you catch here, that's fine. But when you set, what you might want to do is get the bar at some point before your next rep, get the feet back into jumping stance. Go ahead, just try that one. Elbows, yeah. But like I said, the trick of flexing the triceps, that'll help just to get that start, okay? Did you hit something?
What's that?
Did you hit something on the way up?
I don't think so.
Okay, so like you cracked it. Good. Yeah, there you go.
I don't have to. I'm definitely feeling like tension that I shouldn't be
Yeah.
in my elbows and wrists.
Yeah. The other thing you can do when you're coaching too is you want to look right here, right, at the skin. And typically if the athlete's catching too low with their elbows, they're going to go red right here. You see this great big strawberry kind of red mark. Yeah, yeah. That's why I noticed it. And so basically the goal is that when you explode the bar up, that you have this rapid punch to the elbows, and that allows you to get the weight off of here. So anytime you see this sternoclavicular area here go red, then that means you need a higher catch. That's going to be challenging. Joe Ken, a great strength coach in the NFL, he had a great cue with this. He's like, think of the clean as jump punch. Okay? Because the other thing you got to remember when you're coaching this is that there's a lot of stuff happening and it's happening quickly. right? And so what happens is if the athlete gets in here and they overthink, right, even you find it, right? If you overthink, then you're like, what, you know?
For sure.
And so sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've never done it physically before. So
Yeah.
it's like,
No, I mean, and
you're
your
just,
forms.
you're thinking like, okay, pull
Yeah.
straight under, and then like, don't hurt my elbows.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas Joe Ken, he was like, you know, a great cue is just jump and punch,
Mm.
right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna jump, and then we're gonna punch the elbows forward, right? And anyone else want to get it? You know?
I can't.
Yeah, that's all good. So anyways, those are those things. So it's definitely not a good lift for everyone, but those are some basic things, is that you're getting this rapid punch, and you're coming in.
The snatch is one that I'm quite a bit more comfortable with.
Yeah, yeah. I actually think this, we'll do the snatch at another time, but the snatch I think is actually easier to coach in some cases and easier to learn. And so, but yeah, so it's a good option. Any other questions? The other thing you guys can do, like with your own training, if you, to help just feeling more comfortable with the lift, is use it even just as part of your warm up. Right? It doesn't have to, you know, be a major session, but if you do a few reps as part of your warm up, you know, once you've kind of got warm and you just before you get into training, you just kind of get the feel of it and stuff. So.
I guess with these two, you don't really want to get to the point where you're catching with like 2 fingers back here. Like that's probably
No, exactly. We'll use 2 fingers for squats, but yeah,
Yeah,
you
for
definitely
the
don't want.
front squats.
Yeah, you definitely don't want that. And then you also want to have this balance, right? Like you're just, you know, we want to make sure that they're doing it safely, but at the same time, we don't want to try to turn them into older lifters and overcoach, and not actually just, you know, get some aggressive training.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right, thank you.